Okay, so I'm at another event. I have no... What the hell's the name of this event this time?
Women's empowerment.
Yes, as usual, Mike Deezee forgetting his events he's at. So I have to rely upon her to remind me what I'm doing.
Tell me when you're going to put me on camera, because I'm doing everything else but
Oh,
focusing.
sorry. I have to rely upon now on camera.
I'm going to kick his ass.
So yeah, like I showed you before, we're at that event.
That event, okay. Women's empowerment.
Women's empowerment. I'm going to have to really edit this because I probably should not have said we're at that event. My bad. We're at the Women's Empowerment event where I plan to do a lot of listening. That. Okay. Yeah. All right. That's where we're at.
Okay. Yeah.
Where I plan to do some measure of listening, try to keep my full metal attitude in check. Let's see, what else? That's about all that I have to give you guys right now. Yeah, that's it. Okay, candid moment. It's different being at a cultural event versus being at like a metal show because I'm excited like I would normally be going to a metal show even though I'm not going to a metal show. It feels weird because again, I'm expecting to go bang my head for a couple hours and instead I'm not. I'm just listening to poetry, which poetry without music.
Open mic.
Open mic poetry, same thing to me. So yeah, I'm listening to something without music, so it's different for me.
My first book of poetry last year, titled I Write Letters in My Thoughts. So if you enjoy what you hear, you can follow that hashtag or me at It's Mona Khalil on social media. I'm going to share 3 pieces with you today, and this first one is titled Mona. Name dipped in mango, taste of fresh Moroccan mint, Egyptian blood, Guyanese culture, I'm Arab with a Caribbean vibe. Mona is wish, Khalil is friend, and Hub is permanently written on my back, from right to left. The love, rooted across countries, paisley tattoo on my hand. I am love and freedom intertwined. Thank you. This next piece is titled Canvas Unclothed. Love her as she is, dark hair framing her face. Goddess-given brown skin, features, curves, and waves. Firstborn American raised across countries. Pronounces syllables and accents. Recites scripture and hip-hop lyrics. Poetry in motion. Say her name right, 'cause she ain't Becky. Thank you. Alright, and this last piece is titled Nah. Try to control me, tell me to work harder, smile more. Sacrifice my time and energy. Knowing you don't give a shit about me, I must make you feel comfortable. Otherwise, I don't fit in. Organizational culture. I am one of few shades of brown. To be unsatisfied here, to them it means there is something wrong with me. I can't walk in and be myself. I have to remind myself not to be myself. Realizing I'm truly not welcomed in this community. Cheap labor. Positioned to be less than those around me. How did I get here again? Never trust anyone who tells you you are not worth what you have worked for. Thank you.
My name is Sam Kang the Ho. In English, it means unfortunate pronouncing name. happy to be here in the Berkeley, the only city where I am very inspired and very intimidated by the audience and the performer, because you can cut me and then give me a thesis about it. Let me see. I recently got a haircut, so I could donate to that organization. You know what I say? Do the wig. It's called lack of love, right? Because really, when you hear that, you realize that they are both hairless and loveless. So you must really try to help them. Unfortunately, they reject my donation. They say it smells of sadness. And the cancer patient cannot bear the heavy burden on the such a bald head. The Bay Area reminds me of back home in Saigon, Vietnam, because a big metropolitan area as well. It had the same smell. It smells a little bit like gentrification. And homelessness. Yeah, don't applaud that. A bouquet of like fair trade organic urine and craft beer. That's big pretension, am I right? They don't even let me high five you. Trying to hold me back. I recently went to see a palm reader, and she let me know that other hopelessness and the abyss of lonely despair is my spirit animal. She didn't even read my poem. She saw into my soul. But really, she could have been talking about anybody paying the rent in the Bay Area. 1 month your rent is 1 year my rent in Vietnam. That's like 500 Starbucks coffee to you in America. Or like 50 or 70 child slave labor in Vietnam to me. I know, but I'm not the one ordering the employment. Multinational corporation. Anyway, if someone call you a bastard, I consider you very lucky, because I am a refugee. I escaped social, economic, and political hardship from the oppressive regime known as my family. My mother is a typical Vietnamese mom. She liked to teach me many life lessons. So the first one is she treated me like shit for 20 years. And then one day she sat me down and she said, I teach you love, loyalty, hardship, and rage to be a survivor. You are strong, smart, work hard, help other people, and be happy. You some kind of hoe. Go live your life. And for God's sake, trim that bush. We are already in the jungle of Southeast Asia. They do not need to get lost navigating through your wild forest and choking on your dead leaf. That only happened one long time. Small house. To be honest with you, I came to America on vacation from Vietnam to get away from American men on vacation in Vietnam. In fact, quite a few men in the Bay Area look quite familiar. They don't have the blindfold or the ball gag, but I recognize the teeth and the pretty little mouth, the nervous girly laughter emanating in the darkness. Sweet anticipation, they call it. Why they don't call me back? I think I know why. It's because they call me the tarantula. Because my vagina is a big, black, hairy, has fangs, and 8 legs, lies dormant for most of the year. But when it is hungry, it shoots out the web like a rope and tie you to the bedpost and then punch you in the ball and give you an infection and rob you of your money and wallet and self-respect and snap a selfie to blackmail you not to tell your wife and children. But I still send it to your wife and children because women stick together, am I right? Just like a tarantula. My name is some kind of whole funny wit girl. Thank you so much.
Hello everybody. So my name is Miguel Mosqueda. My family and I are Chichimeca Guamare from Guanajuato, Mexico. I'm a poet and I'm an educator out in San Jose. So I wrote a piece. I know that they had mentioned that we are on Ohlone land. So I wrote a piece dedicated to the Ohlone people and to my great-grandmother because we have some shared history. So I get really nervous when I perform. So I always ask everyone to close their eyes, partly because I don't want to see you all, or I don't want to have you all see me shake uncontrollably. And also because I feel like it's really important for you all to really hear what I'm trying to say, opposed to like watching any wardrobe malfunctions that could happen. So I'm gonna ask you all to please close your eyes, and if you feel in the middle of the piece, you feel called to open your eyes and take a Snapchat or whatever, that's fine. But for the first few minutes of it, I would like you all to have your eyes closed and really just try to pay attention to what it is I'm trying to say. So again, this piece is dedicated to the Ohlone people whose land we're on and to my great-grandmother. So many words rhyme with bones. Construction zones, bulldozed tombstones, sacred sites turned into gentrified homes. So many words rhyme with bones. My first ancestor was excavated in 1865, after which a tax was imposed on my people. From 1870 to 1958, we had to pay the state of Guanajuato what they call the grave tax. If we couldn't come up with the funds, our family burial sites were exhumed, land consumed for corporate greed because our need to honor our ancestors did not compare to their necessity to insensibly exploit us. So without our consideration, grave diggers began the excavation of our families. If our bodies were well preserved, they sent us to the Mummy Museum. If they were too far decomposed, we were disposed of. So many words rhyme with bones. Every time our blood fed the soil, we made profits for their pockets. Statewide grave tax, Guanajuato collecting stacks of money, stacks of bones, stacks of money from the bones. Grave diggers unearthed for El Museo de las Momias, where tourists now pay the equivalent of $2 US discounted on a Sunday to take pictures of us. Behind glass cases, the sunken faces of my tatarabuelos. So many words rhyme with bones. The only ancestors placed into this museum were from Santa Paula. That means that hundreds across our land were removed from their burial sites, disregarded and built on top of. Among all my ancestors was my great-grandmother, Maria Apolinar. So many words rhyme with bones, like parking lots. When my family couldn't pay, they dug up my great-grandmother's grave and built a parking lot on top of her. I think about how even in death, they still continue to touch her body without permission, like my grandmother, like my mother, like me, born with accounts of violence on my skin and my bones. My bones are made up of broken tombstones. That's why my words taste like generations of bitter when I speak, because I have this dark history so deeply embedded into me. My blood carries stories. I bet if you were to cut me open, libraries would come rushing out of my veins to remind you that so many words rhyme with bones. Like shell mounds, the sacred burial places of the Ohlone people whose land we're on. They built a parking lot over the shell mound in West Berkeley, a shopping center over the shell mound in Embryville. After surviving 3 waves of genocide, 425 known Ohlone burial sites from various tribes pushed aside to make room for development. So many words rhyme with bones. I cringed when I heard the Zoning Adjustment Board ask about digging up Ohlone ancestors respectfully and putting them in a museum respectfully to further build on the Berkeley Shell Mound and Village site. I thought about my ancestors and how Guanajuato is now famous for the Mummy Museum, remember? Behind glass cases, the sunken faces of my tatarabuelos. There is no way to respectfully dig up anyone, to respectfully place ancestors on display for the white gays when they come to our land on holidays because they have the privilege to travel freely among the borders they created. There is no way to respectfully dig up anyone. So many words rhyme with bones, like archaeological zones. Places of prayer turned into spaces to study because sacred sites somehow need the validity of a university to prove their existence, because our existence is never enough. So they dig and dig to find bones, more bones. How many will be enough? The defilement of ancestral resting places happens on both sides of what they call the border. From my ancestral lands in Guanajuato to the sacred territory of Huchin, so many words rhyme with bones, like great-granddaughters. If they so choose to remove me from my final resting place, I know my great-granddaughter will summon my return in a passionately pieced together prayerful poem to honor me when others have forgotten. So here I am, remembering that so many words rhyme with bones, like a new home within my bones that know my grandmother is still alive. Woven between the words of this poem, my great-grandmother is still alive. Existing within the prayers held at shell mounds, Ohlone ancestors are still alive. Accompanying me every time I share my poetry, my great-grandmother is still alive. Embedded into every space I enter, Ohlone ancestors are still alive, rebirthed through protest and poetry because we are still alive. So many words rhyme with bones, like life, like we are still here. Thank you.
How you guys doing tonight? Are you guys ready? Yeah! I don't want a microphone that squeaks though, so I guess. All right. Just right sorry you guys. Hold on 1 second. My mom, she used to take me to my grandpa's house, and that's when he started to touch around on my body. But I didn't know what was going on, but I knew deep down something was wrong, because every time my grandma left, I was left alone, and he would take me in a room and tell the judge, and I was in there way too long, and he would tell me that it was our secret, and please don't tell nobody it's between us. He'd give me $20 every time, so I would keep it secret. Rocking me at 4 years old, man, that was a demon. Molestation, it'll break them. Talk to your children, it's time to save them. Molestation, it'll break them. Talk to your children, it's time to save them. That's a fact. It took me 20 years, I finally told my dad. He cried for days and then he got mad, but I'm glad I did it. Cause all the weight on my shoulders for years I finally even lifted. We started a movement called Tell Somebody. My 8-year-old daughter and I just trying to help somebody. We go to school and teach children about their bodies. Let them know it's wrong to be touched. You need to tell somebody. I'm also giving strength to the survivors. Tell your story, get your power back. We are warriors. Molestation, it'll break them. Talk to your children, it's time to save them. Molestation, it'll break them. Talk to your children, it's time to save them. Molestation, it'll break them. Talk to your children, it's time to save them. Tell somebody. Tell somebody. Okay, sorry, I'm like a little miscombobulated because I came all the way from Vacaville and I was rushing to get here. But I just want to tell you, because I only have 3 minutes, my name is Alicia Barlow, president of Tell Somebody Inc., and I am a survivor of child abuse. Hold on, you guys. My song's playing again because it's serious. Okay. When I was younger, my mother used to bring me to her father's house to be babysat. That was my grandfather. And he used to molest me. He used to tickle me in my underarms like a game, and then eventually his hands used to move to my private areas. And he told me that people who loved each other did these kind of things. And I believed him because my mom and dad never taught me about my body. When I was 6 years old, I started to feel uncomfortable, and I told my mother and her 2 sisters that their dad was touching me. They told me to keep it a secret from the police because he would go to jail. And they told me to keep it a secret from my own dad because my dad would kill him. So I kept it a secret. They confronted my grandfather though, and he admitted to molesting me. He said that the devil made him do it. And so my aunt gave him a Bible, and he promised that he would read it every day, and he promised he wouldn't touch me anymore. But the problem is that my mom still continued to bring me over there, and the abuse continued. It took me 20 years to tell my dad, but I did, and the moment I told him, I had a weight lifted off my shoulders. See, I have a brother who's 4 years younger than me, and he told my dad 3 years ago that my grandfather also molested him as a child. So growing up, I thought it was just me. I didn't know that he also molested my younger brother. So when my dad asked me, I told him that yes, I had been molested. And he told me that I had to make a video and put it on social media because he wanted me to expose my family for them allowing my abuse to continue. He told me that he wanted me to make a video and put their pictures on it and put their names on it and tell the world about them. And I was scared. I told him that I couldn't do that because I couldn't put my family out there on blast. And he told me, I'm sorry to tell you, but that's not your family, because family wouldn't turn a deaf ear and a blind eye to you when you need help. And when he said that, it was an awakening call. It was like something I'd never heard before. And I said, you're right. So I made a video, I put it on social media, and I was so scared of the responses I was going to get from people that I logged off. And the next morning when I logged on, I had over 100,000 views, 20,000 shares, 10,000 comments from all people telling me that they were also survivors of abuse. So growing up, when you're told to keep it a secret, you think you're the only one going through it, but you're not. I used to cuss God out in my room, and I used to say, F you, God. Why is my life all messed up like this, but everyone else has a normal life? Everyone else is walking around smiling, not knowing that it was happening to other people. It happens to 1 in 3 girls and 1 in 5 boys, and those are just people who report it. I was one of the children that didn't. So even in this room right here, you know, there's at least 30, 40, 50 of us that have been molested, and I'm just here to let you know that you're not alone. I have an organization, a nonprofit called Tell Somebody. My website is timetoTellSomebody.org. After I posted my video on social media, one of my friends wrote me and told me that she had been molested by her uncle as a child, and she wanted to tell her dad that he was dying of cancer, and she wanted to tell her mother, but her mother had brain aneurysms. So I told her, don't tell, because I didn't want anything to happen to her parents and now that be on me. And when my dad got home from work, he told me that I gave her the wrong advice. He said that even on his deathbed, he would want to know what happened to his children. I also have a 8-year-old daughter now. She's sitting over there. I like to put her on blast, but, you know, I taught her about her body, and she comes with me, and he said if she was molested, wouldn't you want her to know? Wouldn't you want her to tell you? And I said, yeah, I would need her to tell me. So he said, you need to write that girl back and tell her to tell somebody. And that's how Tell Somebody came about. So So I have a children's book. It's called Tell Somebody. And me and my daughter go to different schools and we educate children about their body. And we let them know that they have 4 private areas: the mouth, the chest, the front where you go back, and the back, your butt, sorry. And no one's supposed to touch you there. And if they do, you need to tell somebody. And then I give them different scenarios that they can be in. Like if you're in the shower, nobody's supposed to be peeking at you and watching. So I let them know the different grooming signs that child molesters, can do to children. I just came out with my memoir. It's called In Silenced Abuse. And Oprah actually wrote the quote on the cover for me. She said that I'm the perfect role model for turning pain into power. And so when I first started my movement, I used some money to go to LA and travel and meet celebrities. And from there, I built my fan base up. So I have over 100,000 followers on all my social media combined. And the last year, I gave that platform to other survivors. So on my Facebook.com/It's Time to Tell Somebody, every day I post a different survivor story. Every day somebody sends me a picture of them holding a sign that says tell somebody, and they include their story of abuse. I read in a survivor book that the average child molester is a middle-aged white man who's married with kids, college educated, and money. And that was my grandfather. So growing up, I thought only white men molested. But my movement helped me open my eyes, because it's not just white men. It's in every race, it's in every community, it's in every religion. So I'm just here to tell everyone that it's time to tell somebody. It's time to get your power back. There's power in your voice. You have to speak up. And just like how my younger brother was molested, when you don't tell on your child molesters, they continue to molest others. So parents out here, I need you to educate your children. I bring my daughter with me so no one has to babysit her. But, for anyone now who has children that are being babysat, yeah, they're at a family member's house, but 95% of molesters are a family member or close friend. So those are the people that you have to watch out for. So when you get home, I just need you to talk to your children. Let them know no one can touch them. Let them know they can always come talk to you if they need anything. And just for yourself, my website is itstimetoTellSomebody.org. I want you to go to my Facebook. I want you to read stories, because I know there's survivors out here, and I just want to tell you that you have power in your voice, and it's time to use it. It's time to heal. I have a freedom. I grew up feeling ugly, insecure. I was bullied. I felt like I didn't belong. I felt like I was walking around like in this shell, but I didn't know who I was. And it wasn't until I'm 31 right now, and it wasn't until I told my dad at age 28 that I now feel like I know who I am. I finally have the strength and the power and the security that I need, and I want everybody to feel that. So if there's family members of yours that don't know that you were molested, it's time to tell them. It's time to get it off your chest. It's time to tell your story to other people so that they can heal. And that's it. Tell somebody. Thank you, guys.
Their pain into power. But I'm so grateful for this space.
I'm in Berkeley, so I just wanted to thank you all for being here. So while I set up my music, I just want to share a little bit about the song that I'm about to perform. I used to be in a really toxic relationship where I was abused mentally, physically, and spiritually. And it's hard to escape that, but I'm here to tell you that I'm here, and you're able to always come up from wherever you've fallen. So, yeah, if there's anything you take from that tonight, it's that.
one last cry. Should've already left you. This is shit I've already been through. I was oblivious and weak for your help. I tried to seek, had nobody else to turn to. Things have become clearer now. Gotta get away from you somehow. I was trapped before, but I don't want no more. Better off alone anyhow. Ooh, why'd you do this? I don't want this shit again, it's history. Ooh, why'd you do this? Tell me, I don't want it. Let it be history. Stayed up all night, try to figure out how to make this shit right. Still no answer, still the same shit. Tell me why I sit up every time I got hit. Hey, I can't handle this. Take a look at the watch on your wrist. Too much time wasted. Wish I hadn't faced it. In the studio, trying to wrap this up. Effortless because you couldn't, never gave a fuck. I thought I saw your heart, but you let your anger take over. You hurt me so damn much, it's been a while since I've been sober. Can't fucking stand you. Hate you so much, you have no clue. You need to get the fuck away. Don't give a damn about what you say. Desperately trying to leave this in the past, but you keep striking at me with each time worse than last. But now it's time to go. Don't come knocking at my door. Now it's time to go. Don't come knocking at my door. Ooh, why'd you do this? I don't want this shit again, it's history. Ooh, why'd you do this? It's history.
Thank you guys so much. Yeah, that's the one song I'm gonna do tonight, and I'm good today. I have my fiance who's here, and he treats me so well. So, yeah, my story was just something to be able to put my talent towards. So I love you guys for being here.
I am Lex the Lexicon Artist. The song is about buying pants in Taiwan. Feel free to get up and shake your ass to this one if you want. Yo, I got a big butt, but I'm not bragging, cause back in Taiwan that was a bad thing. See, it ate up glasses are the preference, and that was where I had to establish my point of reference. I met with many impediments from my back end. Among my circle, definitely the bad friend. But that said, there's an excellent chance I still can't fit an Asian size XL pants. But when I moved to the Bay, damn, it opened my mind. Cause as it turned out, my behind was open side. And to add another factor, there's no the time in America, Asian butts are one of a kind. And there I had it, my massive ass became a massive ass. Due to that, I'm not an artist to have 42 planets. So do the math and universal gravitation attraction is proportional to gluteal maximation. I got Asian American beauty. Hey, Asian beauty. Hey, Asian American booty. I got Asian American beauty. Hey, I got Asian American beauty. Hey, Asian American beauty. This is not another song that's all about the bass. And a contest apple bottom jeans and tiny waist. This goes out to all the women feeling out of place. Bodies uncompliant like deals dictated by the race. I got a yellow face, but my eyes are circle shaped, which isn't inadverting to stereotypes and hurtful names. As Asian Americans, we reside in a certain space between dominant thought and the culture from which our fathers came. So that where body shame and the formal where Americans think we're all the same with flat butts and chests, but that's just a perception. Asian girls are curvy too, but that's seen as an imperfection. Skin white and the green for a light of complexion. But it's up to the night for a night, wide and exciting. But the women's subjected to double standards of beauty. My answer is fuck the status quo. You know you're beauty. They got the motherfucking barbecue pork buns. You got the flatter than the bottom half of North Dakota. I know it's hard to celebrate what you got, but I promise that you deserve to be hot. Asian or not, and famous or not, our bodies are not to be forgotten. Full of yourself. You should have from the top to the bottom. You got Asian American beauty. Asian American beauty. Asian American beauty. Asian American beauty. Let me plug some shit, alright? You guys cool with that? Okay. Tomorrow night, next door at the Starry Plow, I'm throwing a Valentine's Day, Lunar New Year sex extravaganza. If you want to see this with a full band, and if you want free chocolate, and if you want free red envelopes, I bought like 7 pounds of chocolate gold coins and I don't know what to do with it, so I'm just gonna have to give them out to everyone. Massive party next door tomorrow night. I'm gonna be passing out flyers outside. You can find me online at Lex, the Lexicon Artist. Everywhere. Thank you so much. So gratuitous. Thank you.
Hello. I'm going to be reading from my book.
What's the title?
Funny you should mention that. The title of my book is Uprising, a book of poetry. I have some, and we'll be selling them later. I also am I'm on Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, and you can catch me on my show Monday nights on Blog Talk Radio. Before I go into my piece, I will just tell you who I am very briefly. Sylvia Blaylock. I'm on Facebook. I am a San Francisco native. One of those rare people. The piece that I'm going to be reading from my book, I wrote as a result of the Women's March. The name of the piece is My Pussy Is Not Pink. My pussy is not pink and fuzzy and cute. It's black and looks like it was branded into my body, blow-torched in with leather bindings, carved in with white, hot knives. Not so much the cute pink kitten ears, perky and alert. More ears flat, hissing kind of situation. She of panther black. Outer walls brown with barbed whiskers that require wire cutters or chemical removal. Y'all know nothing about that magic shade. My little pleasure cave. She's been trained not to bite your shit clean off, but doesn't always heed. Thank the Lord she doesn't have teeth. She's got a piercing just above the clitoris because who doesn't like accessories, am I right? My acid rain black pussy takes the color out of black cotton, self-cleaning and tastes like honey and yogurt on most days. Whether safe haven or path of destruction, my pussy's rights are not random devotions. However, she can put the back corner of a dark alley behind 2 dumpsters and a burnt-out car to all factory shame when summer's eve is no match for a cold winter night. But I digress. My pussy's rights are not some pinky swear situation or in need of some civil rights light acclamation. Now, if you're done with purple, I'd be all in, bet. I don't need pink ears, I need a fucking helmet. All this thinking pink presents a lot of weaker shade. When I come to bring mine up, I promise you I ain't bringing a parade. Smelling like dank, angst, and something barely remembered, just a hop, skip, and a jump from a black rump home of the dump. Easily penetrated with an overzealous hump and misplaced pump, firm grip beyond the lip can milk your tip of every sip. My inner thigh bears a burn of their own closeness. By the time you reach my pink, it's too late to turn back. Curl tongue, lick backs, greedy little grab backs, pump in your face till your neck snaps. Having this big pussy gave me a bad back. That cute, curtsy twirl, yeah, keep that. She's feral, but can be pet with patience and clean hands. But random acts of grabbing, fuzzy pink cat hat having, wire coat hanger placenta stabbing, white man hands doing a lot of law passing. Someone missed an important memo. That's not how any of this goes. I'm Sister Motherfucking Earth, in case you haven't heard. The time of violating me has got to go. Shh. The cradle of creation now sits on your face. My pussy is not pink. This black does not erase. Thank you. I will have time to use the break later.
Y'all for real, aren't you? This is some, we're in the green room back there. We're like, what the hell is going down in Berkeley? Breaking codes and laws and everything else, and that's the way we do it.
Yes.
My name is Joblin, and I am a director and a performance artist, but tonight I'm not here to perform, although I wish I was, because y'all would really work it tonight. We'll be here on Sunday at Pena, and we're doing a show called Evidence of Love. It's appropriate for me for us to be here tonight to talk with you because Evidence of Love was created as a residency for artists, for storytellers, and this is important for women artists, storytellers, women in general, period. What the residency is about is that most times we walk on the stage, we're defensive, we move in life, we're fighting, we're always in fight mode. We're always suspicious because we have to be when we walk in spaces in the world. The residencies is a way in which you get to unpack yourself, those deeper feelings, those private parts of yourself that you really don't let out all the time because it's really not always safe. So a part of the work that I do as a healer, and a director, and a performance artist is we take the time to take the time for you. And tonight, I have 2 of the artists who spent 4 weeks with me, and there'll be 7 artists altogether on Sunday. It's called Evidence of Love. Don't bring me chocolate. Don't bring me champagne. Don't bring me a card. Bring me evidence of love. tell me what it really means in the middle of the night at 3 o'clock in the morning when I've clawed the walls, when I've pulled out every hair, when I've stood up against systems. So this show is for people who are at the intersection of oppression. And we all know that story, but we rarely get a chance. We can tell those stories, but do we get a chance to really live and breathe and feel those stories, surrounded by other people, surrounded by love? And this is the kind of residencies I want to see for women. Just sit and be supported, someone to look at you and say, talk to me. Tell me where it hurts. Tell me where you laugh. What makes you laugh? There's a $1 billion industry that supports women who are not of color. And I'm not, there's no anger when I say that, it's just the truth. When I flip through my TV screen and I see Lifetime channels and every other thing, it's like there's billions of dollars to shape people's world. Doesn't mean it's right to shape them. But I also recognize this about women of color. We make up some fabulous shit, don't we? We make up shit. This is made up. When there was no hair products, no anything, no anything for black girls, we made some shit up. We crawled past the ocean to remember our ancestors, and we started braiding each other's hair, twisting each other's hair, rubbing each other's scalp, getting our dreams out. We made some shit up. We made fashion statements where everybody else wants to copy. Women of color will make their world up. We'll make up a world. We'll make a kitchen table out of a dream. We'll make, listen, everybody, listen to the Love me some women of color. You know we made that shit up. You know women of color have a whole conversation but you would never say a word. So Evidence of Love is here at La Pena. La Pena is my family. It's the place, and I play it all over the world, but this is my family, because there's other theaters I'm not going to do, and I say, I got something to talk about. It ain't happening. I got to do all kind of acrobats to do it. But this place, I can walk in and say, you know what, I got a concept. And here's one of the concepts. I said, I want to tell a story about a brothel, about women living in a brothel in the 1930s, and how they got there, why they got there. The thing was like, okay.
Yes.
And it's just going to be me on stage. I'm playing 17 people. Okay. And I want to bring a small orchestra with me to play with me. Okay. Think I can go somewhere else and say that? Look at y'all owning it. So if you want, these residencies will continue. We're partnering together, La Pena, myself, and we want to be to have residencies for women, for people who that live at the intersection of oppression, and that you want to be nurtured for 4 weeks. And the artists get stipends, they get food, they get to have my loveliness, my wonderfulness, my vivaciousness, my graciousness, and we hold space for each other. So keep up with La Pena so that when the next announcement for another residency, I would lovely to see some of you there, to really talk about you and to create from the space where you're at. The things that you only tell your diary, that you don't have to be defensive about, you don't have to be angry about. You can just say, you know what? Sometimes I just want to piss on myself in traffic. And I'm not going to offend anybody when I I say this, if you get offended, I apologize in advance. But sometimes I just want to piss on myself in traffic, stand right there in the middle of a highway, and pretend I'm a white woman pissing and ain't nobody gonna bother me. Because they got it like that. I need to work myself up. Okay. Sometimes we spend the whole rehearsal just doing this. We rely on ourselves into help, to empowerment. Go ahead, get it. Just do it. Just do it. Ready? All right. So Sarah's going to do one of her pieces from the show, and this piece is to you, and then Roberta is going to do some healing song work to sort of rub your forehead and bring that healing on. You ready? You're going to take your breath. It's like good sex. Some of y'all was live on Facebook, so that my relatives in the Midwest will see how it goes down in Berkeley with Women Empowered.
It overlaid the fence. As it grew, its glory shined, but it's sad at the same time. As it grew, it drooped. Drops, they drip. Suns, they set. Cars, they pass. Memories remain. Those feet, they ran towards the street, and they stopped in its tracks, remembering the beauty traced in the sand, footsteps planted as yesterday slid away. Oceans, they wave. Grass grows green, flowers, they bloom, but they just may die soon. Clouds, they hover. Raindrops, they fall. Trees, they grow as they all stand tall. One step, two step, three step, four. Prosperity is around the corner. If you don't follow your dreams, life is not worth living in that flower. It will shrivel up and die. You will remain hollow on the inside. Your happiness depends on your willingness to fail and get back up. This is your time to shine, and it's time to claim it. This is your time, and it's time to name it. It's called success, and that heartbeat in your chest, that's God's love at its best.
I've had some good days. I've had some hills to climb. I've had some weary days and lonesome nights. But when I look around think things over, all of my good days outweigh my bad days. I won't complain. The clouds hang low sometimes. I can hardly see the road. I ask the question, Lord, why so much pain? But he knows what's good for me, though my weary eyes cannot see. So I'll just say thank you, Lord. I won't complain. The Lord's been good to me. He's been so good to me. Took all my clouds away, made my day. The Lord's been good to me. He's been so good to me. Dried all my tears away, turned my midnights into day. So I'll just say, thank you, Lord. I won't complain.
If you want to come to the show to hear all the stories on Sundays, go to the code. There's a code if you go to lapena.org, and the code is just for you. It's $5 off if you get it in advance, which means you pay $10 to see the show. And the code is Friends of Love. All right? Hope to see you then.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Cha ơi, hãy cầm lại đường gươm cho con được nhìn mặt cha lần sau cuối rồi lát nữa đây con sẽ quay về trong các buổi ôm đau thương về trong giấc ngủ muôn đời. Please feel free to sing along if you know the words. I'm from Vietnam. Please excuse me the way I speak. There are some letters in the English language that I cannot pronounce. I could tell you which one they are, but I cannot pronounce them. This is a huge crowd, man. I'm loving it. The other day, I smiled at a handsome American guy. He asked me, "Are you hitting on me?" I go, "If I'm hitting on you, you would be in hospital bed right now." I study Aikido, Judo, and in San Francisco, sourdough. When I do comedy, I don't use the F word. Because if I don't get to do it, I don't want to hear it. Sometimes language barriers can be to my advantage. The other day, my boss says she likes hair that's curly. I thought she says I could go home early. My car is a Hyundai accent. When people hear me speak, they ask me, "Where's your accent from?" I say, "A used car lot in Fremont." Yesterday, an American guy asked me, "Are you nuts?" I say, "Why? Are you allergic?" I love this crowd, man. lesson, my father threw me into the Mekong River. I ended up in the Philippines. My mother does everything in the big pan. Vegetable, chicken, noodles, and the laundry. I like to visit Chinatown. Chinese people are very organized. They always have all their ducks in a row. I like Halloween night. It's the night you can dress like anyone. Last year I dressed like Kim Kardashian. I crammed 2 watermelons down the back of my pants. Then I put 2 cantaloupes in the front. Then I got arrested for shoplifting. I don't gamble. When I go to Las Vegas, I go to eat the buffet. If I want to gamble, I eat the Little Caesar pizza. Last September, we had picnic at the beach. The seagulls were annoying, but so tasty. I bought this dress for $20, man. It has a suggested retail price of $200. The person who suggested this price must be high, man. Dress made with polyester make me not only curvy, but flammable. If I wear high heels, I look tall and my legs sexy. But I walk like an ostrich who's been drinking. I like to give people handwritten notes. The notes I write with my feet are just too messy. Some women I know shop at Forever 21. I cannot fit into anything of that store. I'm waiting for them to come out with almost 42. Some people say change is good. I don't like change. I only accept 50s and 100s. That joke's for you. By the time I get people to listen to me, I forget what I wanted to say. I could not get along with my first therapist. It got so bad, I had to start seeing a second therapist just to talk about the first therapist. I went to a Shopaholic Anonymous meeting. It's not because I have a problem. I want to find out where the good sales are. That's joking for you. I like guys with blue eyes, but they have to have 2 of them. The last guy I dated worked at the racetrack cleaning up after horses. I always look for a man with a stable job. My cousin Bing Bing snores. She snores like this. Bing 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 Bing. Bing 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 Bing. It can be annoying and scary. especially when she's driving. I'm stylish, man. I wear Easter hat in the spring, sundress in the summer, and I never dated a white guy after Labor Day. I like to shop online, save money, free delivery. Maybe I get a chance to see a white guy in short pants. What can brown do for me? I like blue. In Vietnam, they say, behind every successful man stands a woman with a voice like this. Trời đất quỷ thần ơi, sáng giờ tao kêu mày đi làm kiếm tiền nuôi tao, mà mày làm biếng quá. Mày lo mày ăn, mày ngủ, mày nằm, mày nhậu. Tao sẽ ly dị mày cho mày coi nha mày. Oh man, when you listen to that, you spend as much time at work as possible. I love music in the 1980s, even to this day. As you answer the phone like this. Hello, is it me you're looking for? And he says, no. Where's your cousin, Bing Bing?
Behind you.
Would you guys like to tell one more joke before she comes up? Everyone excited to eat food with organic label. Organic food is good, but expensive. So I just ate the labels. Really good joke. The last joke, guys. They say eating fast food may cause infertility. I don't use birth control. I just eat a Big Mac. No more.
They're like, more.
This is literally what I was the most stressed about, was moving this goddamn microphone. But we're all good to go. Okay. Hi, I'm Jessica. I'm a grad student at Cal, doing social work. So I live in Fruitvale, East Oakland. Anybody? And I like to play covers of songs on the ukulele. So got a couple for tonight. Hope you enjoy. Found myself today singing out loud your name. You think I'm crazy. If I am, I am crazy for you. Sometimes sitting in the dark, wishing you were here, turns me crazy. But it's you who makes me lose my head. And every time I'm meant to be acting sensible, you drifts into my head, turn me into a crumbling fool. Show me running now, race. If you want me to stop or freeze, you and me are gonna leave. Just hold me closer, baby, and make me crazy for you. Lately with the state I'm in, I over, send me spinning closer to you. My boils a sweet taste for you. Strips me down bare and gets me into my favorite mood. I keep on trying, fighting these feelings away, but the more I do, crazier I turn into. Pacing floors and opening doors, hoping you'll walk through and save me, boy. Because I'm too crazy for you. Wow, thank you. It's got one more little quick one. So that was Crazy For You by Adele, and this next one is Fun by Ellie and Brown. What I've done, tell me how you're feeling. I'm hungover. Last night was such a wave. I'm washed over, and I know that it's bad for my throat. And I'm treating this place like my home. I'll be singing again later on. Da da da, da da da. I was so wasted, champagne and rosé. The sun was high when we got home. We were so faded, but I still taste it. I know I'm not the only one. And we were dancing in the rain, so free, no shame. I wanna feel that way again. So bring the bottles down and we can take the town again. I was so wasted, champagne and rosé. The sun was high when we got home. We were so faded, but I still taste it. I know I'm not the only one. We were just having fun, having fun.
Buenas noches, everyone. I'm Patricia Contreras Flores. I was raised here in the Bay Area. I was born in Michoacán, the land of the Purépecha people. I am a guerrera, a curandera in training, and I'm loyal to the soil. Shout out to this land that the Ohlone Shumi people call Huichin. The healing of women is directly connected to the healing of the land. My mom shared this story with me as a kid. I got very sick as I was leaving Michoacán. My paternal grandfather, Juan Contreras Ruiz, and her got into a fight over me. He begged her to leave me there, fearing I would die along the journey. This is what I believe. Although I was only 8 months old, my body got ill because my soul was about to be traumatized as it left my ancestral homeland. I was taken without consent. When all women are healed, all the land will be healed. Sometime around 1885, Dolores Ruiz, my paternal great-grandmother, was kidnapped by my great-grandfather, Florentino Contreras. Apparently, in his crazed state, he killed Dolores' brother, who tried to prevent the kidnapping. She never saw her family again. Dolores stayed with him, gave birth to many kids, and became a partera. My dad, Antonio, spoke lovingly about her for about 15 minutes the other day. When all the land is healed, then all of our plant and animal relatives, including men, will be healed. On Monday, we marked 40 years since the passing of my tia Maria Contreras Ruiz. She is a Cihuateteo spirit, as she passed giving birth for the 18th time. She was 39 years old. Fernando, that child, somehow marks his birth and his mama's passing each year on February 5th. The healing of my women ancestors is directly connected to all the light force that emanates from and through me. I wonder what my maternal great-grandmother, Petra Torres, thought when her mother-in-law, Matilde, my great-great-grandmother, a partera, refused to help her as she struggled to give birth. She too is a Cihuateteo spirit, and the child too accompanied her to the next world. As a childless woman, my womb carries the scars of all of my women ancestors, and all of the healed stars too. Cantemos con alegría que al cielo le está gustando. Cantemos con alegría que al cielo le está gustando. Y a las ánimas benditas las gracias le estamos dando. Y a las ánimas benditas las gracias le estamos dando. Las gracias le estamos dando. Oha. Thank you.
I want to begin by calling to the forefront my younger self, my inner child, so that she understands that this performance, this share, is for her. I have this image of my younger self, and she's just like standing tall. Not that short, but she's just standing tall, like long neck, eager, like ready for the world. And it's been such a shame that I spent so much time pounding on my younger self and blaming her for all that she experienced, like folks that we've engaged with in our life had done. And the best gift that I could have ever given myself, me, all the me's that exist within me, is the gift of a mother and mothering that inner child every day and calling her forward and telling her when we're enjoying something that this is for you, for all the years that you didn't have that. And so I just wanted to make that known, and I'm calling her name into the space, Sierra Green. And we say her name so we never forget the lives that were tried to be buried, or the histories that were violently erased, like I did to my inner self, my younger child. So Sierra Green, Sierra Green, Sierra Green, Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. All I've ever known was feet staying miles away from ocean's homicidal mouth, swallowing whole black bodies who dared to dip their nigger. Don't go trying to escape in the water or you'll be corpse dusted, baby. Don't go swimming in the water or you will become the water. So my calloused ankles stayed shackled on shore, sand particles clutching the cracks of my toes, gripping at my ankles. They know I'm never leaving. Have you ever tried running through sand? Ankles gripped like an abusive lover who couldn't stand to see you leave. But if you don't break towards freedom, you'll forever be stuck in a body that would never really belong to you so long as you stay stagnant in your grip. All I've ever known was standing stuck stagnant. Reflective gazes in oceans, not recognizing myself. These legs, all battered, beaten, sand flea bitten, this body, all dressed in sundresses, cut knee-high, me, all disguising myself in an identity I hardly identified with. I look like woman would some days, but I know I am no woman most days. All I've ever known was bones shaking at the sight of the fluid, fear incited on the thought of becoming fluid, of being an agentic ocean moving between all shores. All I've ever known was not knowing how to float in a body that is flooding on the inside, not knowing how to breathe when water starts leaking uncontrollably out my eyelids at the mere reflection of myself, choking on what feels like the Atlantic rising up in my chest, and I too am afraid of all this fluid inside of me. Do you ever feel genderless some days? Feel the womanlessness of your sway, the manlessness of your soul, like scattered, misplaced water droplets wanting nothing more than to evaporate towards heaven. So when a God and all his Aryan angels look at you with disgust and closes the gates on your kind, at least you will be spat back down as raindrops and embraced by all the other bodies who corrected God's misgendering mouth. Nigger, don't dare get in the water or you'll get bodied. No, baby, mama sad self scream. My baby girl, they hunt for bodies like you. Don't get in the water, those fish hooks are noose. I took a leap in the water and cried, Massa, you can't hold me with your shackles, cried Mama. Let me show you this buoyant body, Mama. You birthed a baby of all water, all fluid, all malleability. Watch me change shapes like water, Mama. Watch my hormone shape shift around men and women. Watch my body embrace this fluidity. Watch my ankles bust through and break free from being shackled in woman's body. Watch my fluid, fleshy self claim the identity you want me to be afraid of. I can swim, Mama. I can swim, Mama. At least in this body, I can now swim. Thank y'all. I wrote that poem when my gender was so confusing to me. I felt like how I felt on the inside was never aligning with how I would present on the outside. And there was always constant confusion, getting dressed in the morning or figuring out which name I was gonna go by that day, and it really causing a lot of pain. And I realized it's the work of white supremacy that we have all these categories that we have to fit into when we're expansive beings that can never fit into these categories. And so part of my self-love journey was just accepting that I am all of these needs that exist within me. Oh, the water gave me. I'm gonna honor all the parts of me tonight. And some of those parts look like the next poem I'm gonna share. I was in an incredibly abusive relationship for 1.5 years with a woman, and before I entered this abusive relationship, I had wrote this poem because I was so incredibly lonely. I hated being with myself. Like Birmingham, my restless eyes burn as they adjust to the oppressive blackness of the sleepless Monday morning. 2:37 a.m. and I am alone and lonely. Desperately seeking comfort, I text you and impatiently await for your response in this dark state I'm in. And you are privileged enough to attain sleep, so 2 minutes later I send a follow-up text reading, I love you, sleep well, because I won't tell you I'm lonely and alone and you don't even belong to me. I share you with what feels like I'm just going to stop real quick because I just want to also preface that this poem was written back in, I want to say 2013. And my ego won't allow me to share this work without still feeling shame of where I was, that I had to stop the poem to make a preface. And you don't even belong to me. I share you with what feels like 1 million men, and all this love and affection I receive part-time is enough for me, except for in times like these. I swear I'll get enough. To them, I am Jeffrey Dahmer, devouring their savory souls like the Last Supper. I much rather have my bruised body labeled fragile, handled with care, bombarded by bulls, bomb my Nagasaki, sock me where it hurts, fuck me and fuck me over, slip my body into uneven halves done by half-assed measurements of affection, screw drive through my body and still the light shining through me. I'm okay with that, because I'm alone, lonely, and undeserving. Am I deserving of the kind of love that never leaves, or does my pickiness lead me to pick apart greatness, though there's greatness I don't even see in my own self? I lie in bed and marvel over my dream woman. She'd be nature itself, healing and beautiful, strong and empathetic, a feminist in fact. She wore Birkenstocks and backpack in the outback, and her love for me would be evident. She loved me with words and actions, and she hates when I'm gone too long, so she sent text messages that read, where are you? Answer me now. I'll kill myself if you don't reply. And I'll reply, and I'll tell her she's fucking crazy, and I'll act like I hate how crazy she is, but I'll like it secretly. Emotional instability, dysfunctionally functional. And I know she loved me when she takes her nails and drag them across my face, or slam my head against the wall, verbally abuse my 5'5" so I stand 2 inches tall, but she kissed me after, and that's enough to heal any wounded soldier. She'd be so good to be true that I provoke the violence and broken silence and mirrors and windows and hearts and souls. And when dawn comes creeping through the window and we are exposed by the eyes of the light, we go out on hikes and visit schools to teach girls about shit like safe sex or self-respect, and we'll spend the holidays with the poor who are richer than us, giving them food as we do our great deeds, and not because of recognition, but because we are genuinely compassionate women who love the world more than we could ever love ourselves, like zoo animals. We'd be prisoners, enslaved to each other, but the obsessiveness would tell us that we are not alone, and never again will it be 2 a.m. and I'm writing poems about being lonely and alone. Her arms will be wrapped up in me, and her grip will hold me tighter than the love I never received. It reached them over there and stayed. Never came my way. Never checked up on me to see if I was okay. Thank you. It's so funny. I was at the barbershop earlier today, and I only went because the barber was super cute. And anyways, it just became a scene with me and her other barber friends, and we started to talk about relationships because my barber and her barber friend was like, I don't like sharing, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I don't care about sharing. And they're like, what? Enlighten me. Why? And where I'm at right now is intimacy is something that I always deeply craved. I always wanted it, so I was always actively trying to find it. Serial monogamy, non-ethical polyamory, I tried everything, but constantly trying to find anything that would fill this hole, this gaping hole that I started developing in my adolescent years. And like I said, the biggest gift I've given to myself is mothering myself and listening to a little girl inside me that's traumatized and tells me that love is somewhere outside of me. I have it. That's my politic about freedom. That's my politic about love. Everything I need is right here in my body, through my body, my source, my higher power, my God, which I call higher power. I have everything I need, and that's something I remind myself every day. But engaging in that conversation is with the folk earlier today. It's a trip to hear how much growth has happened the moment I decided, I didn't even know I was going to share this, but it's happening. The moment I decided to stop drinking. Because just like I used alcohol alcoholically, I use women alcoholically. All these substances I used to fill this void that was in here. And it was no longer serving me. I was creating more harm to myself and other people than I was bringing love, which I know is my source. It's my source, but anywho, continue on with the poetry. I grew up in the suburbs, and that is really where I learned self-hate for sure. For sure, just being black, being hella black, and coming into my queerness in the suburbs, it was always something that was hyper regulated or just shat on. And so I guess these next couple poems is to talk about some of my experiences in the suburbs. "12-year-old boy, rich, ebony-skinned prince of which no one knew his name, but chuckled as they called out midnight when they saw him. And I refused to act as if he was kin, so I too asked him why his skin is purplish blue and addressed him as midnight too. The only thing that could assuage my rage, let alone my pain, was laughter. I would have made my mother sick if she could see how proud I was to hold hands with a white girl. How my backbone extended so tall and erect when we walked hands clasped through whites only areas. Anglo pavements where 17-year-old me tucked kinky hair underneath baseball caps and oversized black hoodies, a place where I learned to negate my blackness, as if I could be seen as anything other than black in their eyes. And since white blonde girls were my unsung reflections and mirrors, I figured being loved by one would at least get me closer to the whiteness never written on my own skin. On the first night she introduced me to her father, "Daddy, this is my girlfriend." His blue eyes bugged wide, flashing words that read whites only. Segregation split his mouth wide open, and I could hear the Jim Crow in his baritone as he cleared the buildup in the back of his throat. His eyes held that same gawking, same spit-to-face disgust of generations that came before him who too would have disapproved of his daughter's love for a Negro girl, would have wedged borders between our bodies with my severed limbs, as a reminder of the strange fruit that comes of fancying America's emblem of innocence and purity. And I watched his daughter, My partner scurried to pick up his disapproval off the ground, and she lists off reasons as to why I wasn't like all the other black kids they must have talked about during family dinner. Daddy, she writes poetry and she dances. She may even show you some of her moves. True story. This would be the first time I recognized this body to not be body at all. To be flesh, to be object, a product, a package, a marionette dangling upon her finger, showing me off to her daddy as if my blackness needed an explanation, an asterisk that read, white's friendly, special, talented, not a thug, trained, acceptable to bring around during Christmas time, that non-threatening kind of blackness, and it was like nothing the rhetoric of 1865, insidiously familiar to her own tongue. So suddenly, her voice broke from the sound of suburban blonde to auction block auctioneer. Y'all, this nigger writes poetry and she dances. Show them her moves, nigger sold. The ground below me shakes thunderously. No war when the floor beneath my feet turn warm with a plank, a platform, a block, and my limbs are moving. Soul, suddenly jigging, soul, jiving, soul. Feet shuffling to a unsung gospel. A whole audience now. Of white relatives, of Livermore, of Pleasanton, of San Ramon, of Santa Cruz, consumptive white bodies screaming, dance, nigger, ha, dance. Mid-dance, my shirt flies upwards, exposing the sort of ripe, ready breasts bearing the sweetest milk they ever longed for. Sold, flesh bends over forward, all black crescent moon, ass out, call it a cup holder. Sold, I hear them ask, is it true black women having large clitorises? Hell, the other responds, there's only one way to find out. Soul, daddy. She writes poetry and she dances. She may even show you some of her moves. Her daddy's formerly gritted teeth turned pleased, erecting the most carnivore smile flesh had ever seen. And it would be years later till I ever stopped dancing, because to be a black girl displaced in the suburbs is to want nothing more than to disappear. And my God, those white folks had such a way of making me feel like I was the most exceptional, jigaboo dancing, special black girl they ever did see. I had a long list on there, well, a fairly long list. And I'm kind of done. My spirit feels done. I'm really grateful for this opportunity. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes you're just done. Thank y'all so much. Social media flag, but the moment didn't feel right. Catch me after if you want my social media information. Thank you.